Hey, Cancer. Libra season, fellow Earth sign season, and it seems like you're ready to know now more than ever what's going on. It was a full moon right before I've done this video, and the energy of the full moon will be waning by the time, little moon reference for you, will be waning by the time it comes out. And it was in Aries, another fellow cardinal sign. Sorry, a little fidgety this morning. So already you may be very aware or know that, excuse me, that you may have rushed into this season with a lot on your plate. Maybe you were trying to force some things before and you're realizing what wasn't working, and some of you may be really taking a risk this month. You may be and have gained a lot of strength by listening. For a lot of people, Libra season can be very like, what is happening? And then it's done. It's like doing this, doing that. I don't know what's going on. Then it's over. All of a sudden it's over. And you said so many things and you did so many things. You don't even remember what you did for some of them. But for you, it feels a little bit more focused. There's this very straightforward notion that you get. It's something that you've been needing to do, something that you weren't sure of, and lo and behold, in Libra season, you decide. And the strength comes from doing it more quietly, and you're good at that. And also knowing that and remembering as you go about this journey and as you gain even more strength within this month, that you also remember that when it gets hard, I'll show you the cards I have actually, because the cards are needing a minute. Because those are my cats just running around, so you know, they like to play a lot. So you have to remember that just like the cats, when one antagonizes the other and the other gets mad or whatever is going on with their little cat lives, is that you started it. And it's initiation season, right? We're heading into winter. We're initiating the winter. We're initiating the dead as we go into the season of death and as we're crossing over. And this time always becomes a little bit more airy for you. This season, it may be more potent. You may find a little bit more density, more substance because of what you may be feeling. It almost can feel like an extension of Leo season for some people. And you have Leo coming up here strong. So it could be that whatever you started back in Leo season, you're realizing that through all the retrogrades, it's time to take care of it. Whether it was something internal or external, we'll find out. Probably a little bit more external, and whatever was internal is now coming out now. It's like during Leo season, the same thing was going on. I remember it was like, if I'm remembering correctly back at that video, you were needing to take like a break. Like it's time to relax and break around your season in Leo season. And just needing to do your thing on your own and be a little bit more, blending in a little bit more. Actually, I just learned this word I think you'd like. I didn't just learn this word, but I was listening to Alan Watts, who is one of my faves, in times when especially I feel out of control, or I just need to hear someone talk about life in a very specific way, and he's that person. So, or if I need to relax and just lay down and listen to someone talk, I like that personally. For some of you, it might be music you'd prefer, but sometimes it's just nice. So I was listening to it, and he was talking about the word bougie, and basically how it means, I can actually pull it up here. I should probably remember, right? It means that It's something that doesn't stick out like a sore thumb at all, but it isn't very modest either. It's like his example for it was like someone that pats you on the back with like a surprise. Like you didn't know that they were going to compliment you or give you this pat on the back. You were unaware that it was coming your way, yet for you, when you do it, you're aware that you're going to do it for yourself, right? So it's that little moment in between that when you decide to when you do it, right? That moment, it's more of a surprise. And it's basically like if there's no surprise, like if the surprise is gone, then life itself kind of is gone. The zest of life, excuse me. So it's like the zest, having the zest of life. I could have did that a lot better, but it's okay. So there's something in you that you're, and I don't know why I said that, but we're gonna go with it, is like you may be feeling more of a zest for life come midway through this season. You have all these ideas flowing, and you're so good at not being attached to any ideas. You kind of just go with the one that feels like it's time to do. And if it's not, it'll show its face and you'll move on, go to the next one, but that one still could come back around, and you kind of just roll with whatever ebbs and flows. This month you'll notice that you have to do more of that. You have to be more aware of that, but also you have to realize that you're now in that point where do you want to keep going with something that you started back maybe in August, end of July into August, and keep it moving now, because we're in this Mars retrograde period, which is also in Gemini, which we'll get into the next part as well. The part 2/extended, because I'm kind of just blending them together, will be in a link below on Patreon, as well as all information to work with me one-on-one will be below. I have not yet put out a new podcast, and I apologize for the last one. It wasn't, I guess, the best audio, but I'm going to keep it there for now, and we'll get to the next one soon. So wherever you're noticing like you're itching or you're having resistance, and it's the time to decide if you want to keep going with someone, if you want to stop, because from Leo season to Libra season, there's a lot of passion. And in Libra season, even though Mars is in Gemini and we can tend to be overstimulating, wanting to do many different things, that's a part of it, not all of it. This just pertains to you. And in Libra season, you'll realize that Libras don't really love to do what they don't want to do, whether it's influenced by them or other people and their programming. I know that's a lot, but it's just true. So you'll notice what's not working or what's more easy and what's less easy in this month for you. But you find that you find a way to connect your mind and heart. And how do you do that? Well, this Tower card and the Ten of Wands is saying that this moment that's happening for you this month, and it's maybe a big revelation of how you're doing things, and I think it's physical more so than ever, isn't in alignment anymore, and that you are going to also start realizing that you're at that threshold where you either have to again push through just one more time. And for some of you, pushing through could be that you need to relax, that you need to surrender. It doesn't look the same for everybody. However, you guys do a thing where if you really want something to work, you'll try and force it. It's not your fault. All cardinal signs are like that. And as a water, very strong cardinal sign, again, in another cardinal season, it could feel like the easiest time, but it's not always. It's more like there's a square and you're kind of frustrated within it. So I would drop it. And I think that might be that Tower moment for you, is that when you decide to finally drop it, it's all comes flushing in what you've been waiting for. Maybe some very in between of both drawing in but also letting yourself be exposed, letting and allowing a lot to be exposed, because this month there is that for some of us, is that there's this overexposure of how you relate to others, how you're relating to yourself, how you're in relation to your own work. So that can be a part of the way you relate to others, but your work is you still have a relationship between you and what you're doing. Like if you're overly invested in something that actually something else maybe in your life needs more is more important. You need to focus that energy, but you're overcompensating over here. And we don't realize if we're doing it sometimes, especially you being a sign of all, like in your heart, it can be, that's why Libras and Cancers, I, as a Libra, gain a lot from you guys and how you guys flow through life and how you guys, like I said in the beginning, do all the, like, have all these ideas, how you roll with them, how you stop, all that kind of stuff. It's just like with us, it's the mind. So it's more of sometimes, and I think there's emergence at other times. It's not all or nothing, but this season shows where your mind can use a little less focus here, because it can almost bring on this feeling like your creativity is being controlled by it, by the monetary, by whatever is external. And I think you're realizing it more and more. And yes, it has maybe brought you a lot of fruit, and yes, you're able to handle many different plates at once. But here we have another 10 of Wands here, right? The devil, like 10 of Wands, 10 of Swords, is that whatever's moving through you is a very powerful, important influence in how things are going to play out down the road, especially into the next year, because there's certain things that you're prepared to do. You're prepared to take on things that you know you can do. You're always prepare yourself to take on more when you can, and you usually do, because that's just kind of in your nature to do that. That's a part of who you are, a part of how you control your energy, how you utilize your energy, how giving you are. And this month is being very overblown in that way, but there's definitely parts where you're needing to rein it in a little bit more for you, for what you need, for your focus, for what's important in your life, for what you can control, for what you're wanting to see. But you're also getting this very philosophical questioning of just like how you're relating to others, how you relate with life around you, why your wants are what your wants are, why you feel like you need them. If you're still deciding on them, you're kind of going back and forth. And it's because there's been this influx of money lately, perhaps, and you're realizing that as well. This up and down movement, which can be Libra season, but you're realizing where you can be in more control of that, especially if you have your own business, or if you're in a job that's a little bit more flexible, or you may be wanting a job that's a little bit more flexible for you. And that looks like something different for everybody. So you're preparing yourself for having that kind of forward motion in your life, where you can, what's being really shown to you is how you absorb the spotlight when you're in it, how you share it, how you give it, how you give to your relationships, how you show up in them, how they show up in your life, like any of them. And then in Scorpio season, as we get towards Scorpio season, it begins to become way more about the intimate process of that all, and that's a very deep thing. So for a lot of you, Leo is showing up very strongly. So if there is a Leo in your life, then they are someone who you not only can trust with what's going on with you, but there's someone who shows up strongly as someone who you may be going through this with. They don't necessarily have to be a romantic partner, but they could be a friendship. It could be a boss. It could be how you, this strength in the sun could just be how you're working in the world, and what that relationship to you looks like, and in relation to other people as well. But let's go with all of it kind of here, but use it very personal, and just saying, like, if it is a Leo, then you're moving through something together perhaps, and you're having to communicate in a way that is very open, and it's kind of like things are just happening to expose these things, and you're not like, they're just coming out of nowhere. So you both eventually like come to this realization, or it's you that comes to this realization about your work and how you expose yourself and what you decide to expose of yourself, that comes to light, and you realize that there's been something more weighing on you with it. You might even have a great emotional breakthrough that even brings more joy into your life too. That could also be emotional as well. Nothing wrong with that, because it's something strong. It's something very Saturn-like. It could be Saturn goes direct in Aquarius on the 23rd. And again, we'll get more into that in the second part. But we'll say that that's releasing something for you, because Saturn was in Capricorn for a while, and Saturn in Aquarius is a little bit different. So Capricorn is opposing you. So even though it could be very hard to be in that position for a while, you don't feel everything until after it switches signs, and it's still a slower process because it moves slower. So it's slower in you. And the slower process has been good for you. You're realizing where it's important to kind of turn your head away from what external things are controlling you. Even though you want them, you are learning to be more loose with them, letting go with them, and that seems to be a part of many aspects of your life. There's this certain thing about letting go, but also what that letting go reveals about you to yourself and to others. If they know you very well, they'll notice. If they don't, they won't, and that's okay. I think that you'd prefer it that way. But it makes you more, it gives you more space, it gives you more room to decide certain things. There are certain things that you're going to want to end, maybe certain relationships, whether they're business relationships, again, work relationships, or personal relationships. This can also be something that you realize about something that has ended somewhat recently in the past year, and how this shift that's happening this month is a very validating one. It's very validating for you. So you just have to do your thing and trust. Trust this process that's happening. And if you're communicating with a Capricorn or with a more Capricorn mentality, you realize that not everyone's going to respond very well to that. However, if that's how you are choosing to do business, if you're choosing to put your foot down about something regarding this Leo, or regarding your own creative control, don't be attached to how you feel next month about it, or how you're going to feel in the future about it, because the way that once Mercury goes into Libra, which is very soon, yeah, it's actually today. So when I'm doing this, but this will be out after. So by the time this is out, Mercury will be in Libra, and things will be easier to decipher, and words will be clear, and the tone and the choices will be you'll be more aware of that and understand more of that. And also you'll even find that you might even have this respect for how people respond, and you don't even you're not as attached to the response, which is important for what's being shown. So this is a very surprising reading. I know it's a lot to take in. However, it's a major thing for you, and you're going to feel lighter even though this is at the end. But this is the beginning of something, and you'll find that whatever it is that you feel like you've been maybe missing lately is coming back to you in a fellow water sign by the eclipse. When everything makes a change, you're also just feeling something great happening in the world, and I would just honor those feelings and those emotions that you get when you feel it. And how many people will probably come to you about things, and you got to realize when you don't know, and it's okay to say it. Just be with everything. Okay, Cancer, I will see you next month, and I hope you have a great rest of your season. All information to work with me one-on-one is below. It's 11:22 by the time I'm ending this, where I am, and all information is below. Patreon Extended is below, and I'll see you next month.